California Democrat politicians have declared war on our fight to require voter ID in future state elections. And we've got an update on early ballot returns in the March 2024 primary. Could it be that there's a Republican surge? We got that and more coming up. I'm Carl DeMaio, chairman of Reform California, and we have a lot of election news to talk about today. These are the top stories that we're following. First, let me give you an update on early ballot returns in the March 2024 California primary. There are only 2 weeks left to return your ballot, and I've urged everyone to get their ballots in early. Vote early. Bank your vote. President Trump agrees with me. Vote early. Bank your vote. Don't wait till Election Day because, as we saw in Arizona in 2022, if Republicans and conservative independents wait till Election Day, long lines suppress the vote. And in Arizona, they claimed at the last minute that errors with the voting machines had broken down. It actually suppressed the vote because lines were hours and hours long. In Southern California in 2022, in the November election, it actually rained on Election Day, and there were long lines out the door, and we saw a drop-off in turnout on that last day. So what we want to do is get everyone to get their votes in early. And at Reform California, our movement encourages early voting, but not just early voting and tracking your ballot. So for the past 2 weeks, we've sent out a number of mailers, we've sent out text messages, digital ads, we've gone door to door, we've done ballot harvesting events, and we've encouraged everyone to vote early because it allows them to track their ballot. If you wait to the very end, you can't track your ballot and guarantee that it gets counted. That's why early voting gives you that opportunity to verify that your vote is not only received, but counted. And that's very important that you do things early so that you have that verification. So you still have 2 weeks to go in this election. I encourage you to return your ballot right now, ASAP, by dropping it in either a Dropbox or taking it into one of the polling centers that are available and open near you. That's just like voting on Election Day. The polling centers offer full service voting days out of Election Day. But then what I want you to do is go to the website, trackmyballot.org, trackmyballot.org. It's a site that my campaign has put up so that you can have one-click access to the state of California voting database. It allows you to then put your information in and track that your ballot was indeed received and counted. That way, when you get to Election Day and election night, you can go to bed safely and confidently assured that your ballot was counted and that your voice was heard in those initial results. So we've got tracking on these ballots. We know who has voted so far. And so let me show you some very exciting data from early voting in California. So what do things look like after just 2 weeks in California? Well, we've looked at the ballot returns. The Democrat share of ballot returns is 49% of early vote. The Republican share is 31.5%, and the independent or other party vote is 19.5%. Now we are also comparing that to where were we in the same primary in June of 2022. And you'll notice our Democrats are not very enthusiastic about voting. I mean, would you? If you were a California Democrat voter, would you be happy to vote for your side? I mean, seriously, Biden, inflation, the open border, rampant crime, soaring homelessness, schools failing the kids. Yeah, I'd be pretty embarrassed to show up and try to vote for that crap. And so Democrat voting share of early returns is down 3 percentage points from 52% down to 49%. Republicans are surging. In June of 2022, at this time, they were 24% of the early ballot returns. Now they're up to 31.5%. That's a 7.5% spike from 2022. I'm very happy about this. We've got to keep that trend going. And independents are down 4.5% from 24 down to 19.5. What this suggests is that there's going to be a lot of target seats that we are going to win if we keep these percentages up. Because the closer we are to overcoming the party registration deficit in California, the more competitive we will be in these seats. So I encourage you to be part of this effort to turn out the vote. What I want you to do is go onto the website, reformcalifornia.org, reformcalifornia.org. Chip in a contribution, because we are hustling in the last 2 weeks of this election to send text messages, high school and college kids, door to door, volunteers with door hangers, to send out mailers, holding our ballot harvesting events, all to make voting fun, easy, and secure. All of these programs are designed to spike the vote as we get to the final few days. Help us do the turnout by contributing online at reformcalifornia.org. Also, share the voter guide that's up there. If voters have an easy voter guide to use when they're voting, it makes it a lot more confident they're much more confident in the process. They know what they're voting on. They're not intimidated by the ballot. They don't feel as though they've got to do a lot of research. It's easy, simple to use the plain English voter guide offered by Reform California, but you need to share it with your friends at reformcalifornia.org. That's reformcalifornia.org. When you go there, you can click on the voter guide tab, and there are regional voter guides as well as a statewide voter guide for them to use. So check it out at reformcalifornia.org. Click under the voter guide. Now, you know that I've authored a state constitutional amendment to require voter ID in all future elections. I do not believe that we will have a fair or fraud-free election in California until we get voter ID. My state constitutional amendment, which is called the Election Integrity Initiative of 2024, it requires not only voter ID for in-person voting, but also mail-in ballots. You would basically have to include the last 4 digits of your driver's license on the ballot on the outside in order for it to be counted. We also require proper list maintenance for voter registration rolls. This is crucial. We have a lot of people registered to vote in California that are no longer eligible. We have a lot of illegal immigrants registered that were never eligible. And so we would require stronger and stricter protocols for voter list maintenance in the state of California, as well as oversight and accountability through the courts, because we empower any voter in any county to bring suit in state court to compel their local registrar of voters to do their job, or the state of California's Secretary of State. It's a powerful measure. We've got to get the signatures to put this on the ballot. But in the meantime, there is a bill that's been introduced, SB 1174. Senate Bill 1174. It's sponsored by Democrat Senator Dave Min, and it would ban local governments from imposing a voter ID requirement for local races. Now, Dave Min, also known as DUI Dave, because he has a problem with drinking and driving, DUI Dave Min is running for Congress in the 47th Congressional District against Scott Baugh. And the reason why he wants to ban voter ID requirements is that Huntington Beach has a ballot measure in this March 2024 primary that we wholeheartedly support that would require voter ID be shown for someone to vote in a local election. Now, this doesn't require voter ID statewide. That would have to be my constitutional amendment that would apply that standard statewide. But Huntington Beach is doing something quite strategic and important. It says that when there are local races or local measures on a ballot, in order to receive that ballot, you would have to have a voter ID. You have to have a driver's license to prove your identity. And so Dave Min knows that that's Huntington Beach's way of improving the integrity of all the elections that occur within their boundaries. And they, under current state law, Huntington Beach has every right to require voter ID. That's why Dave Min is trying to block them with Senate Bill 1174. And it would block every other local government from imposing this requirement. Now, mind you, Dave Min is not trying to stop illegal immigrants from voting. Several local governments like San Francisco and Santa Ana have started allowing illegal immigrants to vote in school board races, for example, which is absurd and it's illegal. It's outrageous. But Dave Min doesn't want to do anything about that. No. He just wants to stop voter ID, which, by the way, is supported by a supermajority of voters, a majority of Democrats, a majority of independents, and a supermajority of Republicans all support voter ID. It's not racist. The majority of African Americans and Latinos support voter ID. 28 out of 50 states require voter ID. The Supreme Court of the United States has said voter ID is perfectly fine. There's nothing about voter ID that's illegal or unconstitutional or suppresses the vote. But Dave Min wants to have no integrity in elections. And by the way, this would benefit Dave Min because in the general election where this Huntington Beach law would take effect for the first time, Dave Min is on the ballot in Huntington Beach. He doesn't want voter ID to apply to his ill-fated race for U.S. Congress. So pay close attention to that. That's why I absolutely believe that while we support Huntington Beach's measure to require voter ID, and I hope other cities follow suit, that is why we need our statewide initiative to pass. And you can get more, on that information, on that ballot measure at electionintegrityinitiative.com, electionintegrityinitiative.com. One last story I want to get to real quick. On this podcast, we've talked about California's disastrous Green New Deal, the Greedy New Deal. We have the Green New Deal already implemented into law in California, and God forbid it becomes law in the nation. But California now has the highest electricity prices in the nation because of the Green New Deal, because we're choking off the supply of cheap, reliable, clean energy in favor of virtue signaling energy. The windmills that chop up all the birds and disturb marine mammal life, solar. Again, I'm an all of the above energy guy. I believe that we should be getting our energy from all sorts of sources. The Democrats disagree. They want you to pay through the you-know-what for your electricity, and they want to choke the supply of electricity and make your life less convenient and make your cost of living much more expensive. So here's the Union Tribune, and they're celebrating the fact that these other cities have higher electricity rates than the city of San Diego. And their original title on this article, they changed their title. I guess they got a lot of mocking going on online. It used to be, we're number 3. Hawaii and San Francisco passed San Diego for highest electricity prices in the nation. In fact, in the URL up here, you can see we're number 3. Hawaii and San Francisco passed San Diego for highest electricity prices in the nation. So you're celebrating other cities' electricity rising faster than yours. Again, San Diego used to be number 1 for the most expensive electricity. Now they fell to number 3. It's not because things got cheaper, though. And that is, again, the corruption and the ineptitude and the bias of the liberal media in California. We are paying higher prices for electricity because of a choice by politicians to saddle us with those higher costs through the Green New Deal. Think about Hawaii having higher electricity. It's because, unlike California, where we have power lines that bring us electricity from Arizona and Nevada and Utah, because we don't produce enough energy ourselves because we've choked the supply within the state of California. Hawaii doesn't have an electricity link to the mainland. They've got to produce their electricity on their island. And that's why you're going to have, with a tighter supply, higher prices in Hawaii. They are also a little bit more of a blue state, so they have some of these wacky Green New Deal mandates. But in California, this is a choice. This is a choice for us to have the highest costs in the country. And the latest report from the Transparency Foundation, I want you to go check that out as to why California has the highest costs in the nation. That report shows that we have a 68% increase in the 67.1% increase in our cost of electricity statewide. In San Diego, it's double the cost of electricity nationwide. And it's all because of the Green New Deal mandates and a $4.5 billion imposition of illegal taxes added to our utility bills by California politicians. So check out that report at thetransparencyfoundation.org. Those are our stories today. Please get out and vote. Please use the Plain English Voter Guide at electionguidecalifornia.org. Until next time, Carl DeMaio, Chairman of Reform California. Help us break through the censorship of the liberal media. Like this video, subscribe to this channel, and smash that notification button so you can stay up to date on all the developments in California news and politics. Also, please visit the website, reformcalifornia.org, for ongoing news coverage and to join one of our campaigns in the fight to take back our state. If you can, please sign up as a volunteer or chip in a contribution. This episode of Reform California with Carl DeMaio, paid for by Carl DeMaio for State Assembly 2024.